Inside Ag on KTVB is sponsored by the Idaho Farm Bureau Federation, empowering Idaho agriculture.
If you're in the ag world, you've likely heard of a brand inspector, and if you're not, well, you probably haven't.
Their work often goes unnoticed, but in today's Inside Ag, Hunter Funk looks at what they do and why it matters. Hunter.
Yeah, they have one small team, but across the state, they are protecting Idaho ranchers. They have their eyes on all of the cattle in the state from the moment that calf is born to when it's sold and passed on to new owners. At a livestock auction, it can feel a bit like controlled chaos. But before anything sells, there's a process, and it starts long before the bidding.
We're at Seven Rivers Livestock. It's sale day. There's producers bringing cattle in here and consigning them to sell. Anytime livestock are sold or change of ownership, leave the state of Idaho, or are destined to a slaughter facility, there's an inspection required.
And the man in charge of enforcing it,
That's a quarter circle F, and that's a quarter circle F.
is Cody Burlile, the state brand inspector.
So there's a brand right here.
How do you see that?
You can feel it. So it's just a scar right there. We're verifying the brands on those cattle. We're verifying the documents and essentially the title to the car. We're changing the title of the car and making sure that these livestock are sold lawfully.
His team of 50 employees statewide track this.
523 is going to be this bull.
28 of which are commissioned law enforcement officers under Idaho State Police who investigate livestock crimes.
Feeling those brands, that's what we call brand inspector braille. You're feeling through there to determine what it is.
That brand is registered well before it ever goes on the calf.
So you start with the A's.
It's recorded here.
As you go through, it goes through, so your A bars.
Laid out in two Rolodex.
So our records, as far as brand recording, go back to 1947, I believe it is. There's about just short of 18,000 of them. And this is kind of how we keep track of them for researching to see if a brand's available. So if somebody applies for a brand, there's a process that we have to go through to make sure that we aren't duplicating somebody else's brand or that we're not getting something that's too similar to it.
There can only be 6 of the same brand for cattle and have to be located in a specific spot on the body for the inspectors to be able to know the difference. It's also a mark of pride for ranchers.
Quite a few of these brands are registered but never ever used, and they keep them within the family just to almost like an heirloom.
Checking that mark
Got one there.
out here still remains the best way to keep track.
You can identify with your tags, you can do different things, but the brand it's been around since early, late 1800s, and it still today remains, that for ownership purposes, the best way to be able to identify livestock and the ownership of those.
How often do you run into problems?
We may have discrepancies here or there, but as far as like stolen cattle, it's not real often we're going to see it here, but we do catch it. Last year we recovered over 300 head of strayed or stolen cattle. Put that into dollar amounts, that's about 400,000 or more worth of cattle that we recovered back and returned to the rightful owner.
They also respond to livestock emergencies, like when there's a cow out or an accident on the road. But today, it's about changing ownership.
Some people think cattle theft is a thing of the past. It's not. We've had numerous cases just this last year of stolen cattle that we've worked and arrested people for that and recovered a lot of cattle. That's what we do. We protect Idaho's livestock.
And they are a dedicated fund agency, meaning the livestock industry funds them. So staffing-wise, they run pretty lean, which is impressive after last year inspecting nearly 2.2 million head of livestock.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
They don't just sound cool, although they do.
Yeah.
They do important work.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Hunter, thank you.